Once upon a time where we
smoke some trees,
act funny,
talk fairy tale history,
and try not to get drunk.
Hey everybody, Johnny Hauser here with Blunts Upon a Time once again, and of course with me as always are my co-hosts Jimmy Bain and Denzale Whitehead, and you may not recognize the face because he was on in Season 1 when we did not have this wonderful video, but we have our first ever returning guest from Season 1, the very funny Adam Degi, the man, the myth, the legend. Yes, absolutely. Hold on, I got something for you there. Go ahead, yeah, give me some more of that. Yeah, there we are. All right.
It almost just sounds like a water.
Like it does kind of a little bit, yeah. But, it's
I feel like I just made a 3 on double dribble.
yeah, there you go. So again, welcome back, Adam Degi.
Thanks for having me back.
Absolutely,
man. You guys treat me well.
Yeah, well, we were so happy to have you back. For those that may not know, you were on Season 1 again when we had audio only. Much different setup, different mics, and the episode that we did was Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, and it was some of the funniest. Like
I was
quotes.
telling my brother before I came here how fucked up I was.
It was a great one. We really had a good time. And that was actually one of the days where we recorded 2 episodes back to back.
No, the only day that we did.
And
we didn't want to try that again.
No, we have not done that since. So, but
still the only thing I remember is from that is you saying, "Hey, what are you gonna do with the body?"
Yeah, that was that was a good one. So Adam, thank you again for being here. As I said, you're a West Michigan local. Now, do you have any big shows coming up anytime soon where people can go and see you?
I do. I'm gonna headline Dr. Grinn's in Grand Rapids end of the month.
Oh, awesome!
Labor Day weekend.
Labor Day weekend.
Yep.
Oh, okay. And so that's in Grand Rapids, Dr. Grinn's.
In the big old building.
That's right, the Bob. So we'll put the links and everything where they can go to Dr. Grinn's, and then also any links to your website as well to check that out, or any other shows that you're on. So that's awesome. So thank you so much for being here. So we will go ahead, and I'll let you guys know what we'll be discussing today, what tale we'll be talking about, because we have not revealed that yet.
Surprise.
Wait. So yeah, here is the big reveal. So today we will be discussing the tale of Hans my Hedgehog.
Wait.
Yes. Hans, my Hedgehog, by Jacob and Wilhelm Grimm. So this is a Grimm Brothers tale. Once upon a time, there was a peasant.
A very, very fast hedgehog.
Yes. Once upon a time, there was a peasant who had money and land enough, but as rich as he was, there was still something missing from his happiness.
He's got to go fast.
Yeah. He had no children with his wife. Often, when he went to the city with the other peasants, they would mock him and ask him why he had no children. He finally became angry, and when he returned home, he said, "I will have a child, even if it is a hedgehog."
So this is a story about you and your hedgehog.
Yes. Yeah. What the fuck? So apparently this guy believes that even though he and his wife have been trying to have a kid and it's not working, like apparently if you just try hard enough, at the very least you can pop out a hedgehog.
That's such a shitty thing to make fun of somebody for.
Like,
you can't have babies.
Yeah, loser.
Fucking low life.
Right? Well, it is Germany. You got to have like 15 kids. Otherwise, you know, you can't get anything done. So, so he's bound and determined to have a child, even if it's a hedgehog. Then his wife had a baby. And the top half was a hedgehog and the bottom half a boy. When she saw the baby, she was horrified and said, "Now you see what you have wished upon us." I don't know what they said when they were conceiving this.
You're a new father, and he spines on the boy.
Okay, yeah, like what would you have said if a half boy hedgehog had popped out?
I would have, I think, been more worried about my wife's vagina.
Right?
Was it breech?
And all your gold rings, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
So the wife's blaming the husband right away for this monster child they just had. Because again,
it takes 2, baby.
Top half a hedgehog, bottom half a boy. So like that's terrifying.
She's like obviously the top half.
Yeah.
So he's at least got a human wiener.
Yeah. Waist down, I imagine. So the man said, "It cannot be helped. The boy must be baptized, but we cannot ask anyone to be his godfather." So like, hey, this is what we got. We just got to roll with it.
All right, Sonic, step in.
So the woman said, and the only name that we can give him is Hans my Hedgehog.
That to add in my
No,
hedgehog.
that's not. I can tell you, I wasn't there,
Okay,
but
I appreciate your honesty.
I can tell you right now that there were other options.
It's not the only thing.
Steve.
Steve, not half hedgehog.
Steve, whatever your last name is, instead of Hans, my hedgehog.
Steve, don't draw attention to my deformity. Smith.
Yeah.
right.
Anything else?
So they're going to name him Hans my Hedgehog. So when he was baptized, the pastor said, because of his quills, he cannot
when
be...
he was baptized, the pastor said, "What the
Fuck! That was my thought. It's just so blasé. Like the pastor just like, oh, I got another half hedgehog baby to do, huh?
Just because the top
Third one this week.
It's like, what have you guys been doing in the woods?
God bless Monsanto. Baptize the half hedgehog next."
All right.
Just because the top half's hedgehog, you still have to put pants on him.
I mean, presumably.
I'm trying to picture a real, because I think everybody's picturing Sonic.
half Sonic anyway.
But
yeah.
I want to.
I guess he did
Clearly,
have human-looking
hedgehogs are
legs,
are not blue. I think for
Right.
starters.
No.
right?
Yeah.
And
I mean, this one.
Not healthy.
Is there-
hedgehogs?
Is it like fur or is it more? It's not a porcupine, obviously, but
It's,
I think it's
it's-
like
well,
pretty rough hair.
They just said actually that when he was getting baptized, the pastor said because of his quills, he could not be given an ordinary bed. So he had like quills. So they're kind of, I guess, considered like porcupine quills. Or I could tell you in the story that's the
Really?
way they're
Yeah.
going to be described. Yeah.
Yikes!
The
So that word hurt
pastor,
coming out.
The
Yeah.
famous German Baptist.
Yeah, the German. Yeah. So anyway, so the pastor's like, well, he's got quills, so he can't be given an ordinary bed. So they put a little straw behind the stove and laid him in it. The straw, not the stove. And he could not.
hoping
I
the
mean, I
place
guess
would catch
good
him.
on
You
them
gotta-
for
Yeah,
for not immediately just
throwing him
disposing
in
of this baby.
And they got him baptized, so I mean, I guess they planned on
Yeah,
keeping him
'cause
for a
it-
little while. Yeah.
It would have been all for that.
A lot of people
so-
would have just held him underwater.
Until he did turn blue. Yeah.
So, well, they're definitely not shoving him back in with those quills. Like they can only go one way.
Denzel's over here pantomiming that. I don't think there wouldn't be a third. An infant baby, it would just the one time. I don't think you'd have to. There's no jerking.
No, but for effect.
Yeah.
So they put some straw, make him a bed behind the stove, and lay him down in the straw bed.
Do they feed him mealworms or?
Wait a
is
minute,
it-
you're about to find
or
out,
Nursing a bitch.
Oh
Like-
my God, Jimmy! And he could not drink from his mother, for he would have stuck her with his quills. So yeah, no nursing. He lay there behind the stove for 8 years, and his father grew tired of him and thought, if only he would die.
Well, if he's just
what-
laying there for 8
Jesus.
years. God damn.
This
But
is
he did not die. He just lay there for 8 years.
living off the warmth of the stove.
Yeah.
What the hell is going
I
on?
don't know. Now, it happened that there was a fair in the city 8 years later, and the peasant wanted to go. The man, I suppose. He asked his wife what he should bring her. A little meat, some bread rolls, and things for the household, she said. Then he asked the servant girl, so they don't have any kids, but apparently they have a servant. He asked the servant girl, and she wanted a pair of slippers and some fancy stockings. So finally, he also said, Hans my hedgehog, what would you like?
I thought this guy was a peasant. If he's a
Yeah.
peasant, what the fuck is a server girl?
Maybe he captured her into slavery. Like he didn't.
upper middle class.
Yeah.
You don't actually have to buy all slaves. Some of them
That's
you just
like
capture them.
if
and
you don't
you're a
own
slave
like
now.
3 cars, a boat, and
Yeah.
a summer home, you're a peasant.
There's a-
exactly.
Yeah.
There's a hierarchy in 1812 Germany, and this servant lady has the bottom half of a hedgehog.
Yeah.
So she really can't do
Yeah, no,
anything
they-
else.
So anyway, to his credit, he does ask his half
of the
hedgehog son.
quills.
Finally, he says to his son, Hans, my hedgehog, what would you like? And that will lead us to our first fairy tale trivia. Yeah, so that's one of the new things we've added. So as I explained to you, Adam, we'll go ahead and let you go first here. So as I am getting ready to get the fairy tale trivia question up on the screen, all right, so as you can see there now, we are at our first fairy tale trivia. So we will go again to you, Adam, as our guest first. So his father's going to the fair. He's like, what would you like me to get? So what did Hans ask for from the fair? Did he ask for A, a bed, a real bed, B, a set of bagpipes, C, a flute, or D, a sibling? Was he like, hey, get me a brother or sister?
And I want you to name them Tails.
Yeah. Tails.
Or E, get me from behind this fucking stove.
Yeah, well, I mean, presumably, I guess if you got a real bed, that might do that. I don't think they could fit a real bed behind the stove.
Yeah, I'm gonna guess. I would ask for a bed.
A bed, okay.
For sure.
Again, it's plausible based on his living situation, I would say. So, Denzale, we'll just go around the table then. You're lit up and ready to go. What do you think the answer is? What did Hans ask for from the fair? Is it A, bed, B, bagpipes, C, flute, or D, a sibling?
I feel like it's going to be anything but a bed. Because
Okay.
I think this motherfucker's stupid as shit.
I mean,
So
they
I
haven't
think
really
he's gonna
talked.
ask
Yeah.
for something
He's
stupid,
half hedgehog.
like
And
fucking
he hasn't
That's
moved
the
for
brain
8
hat.
years. Yeah.
So like, so I'm not gonna say bagpipe. I feel like that's more of a, I don't know. That's that more of an Irish thing, or do they?
Scottish, I believe. But
Scottish,
yeah,
you're
certainly
right.
not German, which is what we're
Yeah.
talking about.
So I think it's either flute or sibling. I'm gonna go with flute.
All right, so you think it's a flute,
Yeah, I think
which
it's
might
a
be a little more
flute.
German, more okay, but
Yeah.
you still think he's asking for an instrument ultimately.
I
And
think
then
he's asking for something stupid. And sibling is up there, but like, it's not bed because that would actually be good.
all right, fair enough. So we'll go ahead on to you then, Jimmy. What do you think it is? What did Hans ask for
The
from the
stupidest one
fair?
is bagpipes because he'd pop it.
It's
yeah,
for the
you're
squills. Okay, that's fair.
Right.
So,
So it's probably going to be B, bagpipes, but I'm going to say D. He wants a sibling, just because you don't have more rings on there for when he gets hit.
Oh, all right, fair enough. So, all right, so Jimmy, you think it was D sibling? So we got 3
Absolutely.
different answers, so that's huge. So,
Mom, Dad, I never hear you fuck anymore.
nice. So, all right, so unless everybody gets it wrong, somebody's going to be out to a 1-0 lead. So I will go back to the tale now, and we will find out what the answer to fairy tale trivia question is. So again, the father's going to the fair. He's getting gifts for everybody at the fair, and for Hans the hedgehog. So, father, said Hans my hedgehog, bring me some bagpipes. So,
Bullshit.
Congratulations. That was Denzale, right?
Oh wait, yeah, no, I said flute.
No, you said
Yeah.
flute. Nobody said bagpipes.
nobody
That's
said
right. Jimmy
bagpipes.
almost said bagpipes. So, yeah.
No, I said that was the
Yeah.
dumb
That
one.
was the
so
dumb
it's
one, yeah.
probably
So
this.
nobody got it right. So we're at 0-0-0. So yeah, for some reason, this half hedgehog boy wants some
God
bagpipes.
damn it!
We're
It
all
was
winning.
it was
Yeah,
a
you're all-
flip of
you
the coin.
are
I
also
should've
all
went
winning.
bagpipes.
So when the
Gotcha.
peasant father returned home from the fair, he gave his wife what he had brought for her, meat and bread rolls. Then he gave the servant girl the slippers and fancy stockings. And finally he went behind the stove and gave Hans my hedgehog the bagpipes.
And
What?
he immediately popped them.
So everybody got their gifts. So when Hans my hedgehog had his bagpipes... That's like he's referring to Hans my hedgehog.
You say the
I
whole
guess-
thing.
I mean, maybe it
every
sounds again. Maybe the
time.
German translation it sounds more normal, like the Hans my hedgehog.
No,
It's like a
it's
pimp named
Hans-
Slickback.
Hans,
Yeah.
my mistake.
Yes, the whole thing.
So,
is
when Hans my
It
hedgehog
just sounds
had his,
sexual to me.
yeah, is Hans my hedgehog getting his bagpipes an allegory for some kid getting his balls?
we'll find
Like-
out. He's about to find. This is what they're talking about. So when Hans my hedgehog had his bagpipes, he said, "Father."
Taxi mittens and Hans, my hedgehog.
Yes, it puts him on the Hans of my hedgehog. So when he had his bagpipes, he said, "Father, go to the blacksmiths and have my cock rooster shod. Then I will ride
No,
away
no,
and
no,
never
no,
come
Now
back."
they know what they're doing now.
I told you. What?
He says, "Have my cock rooster shod.
What
Then I
is
will
a-
ride away and never come back again."
What is a cock rooster?
It's a rooster. It's a cock. It's
Well,
a
yeah,
rooster.
because
Yeah.
South Carolina Gamecocks.
Gamecocks.
are
Yeah,
just
so it's
roosters.
a rooster. So
But
he
I've
literally
never heard
said,
someone say cock
"Have him
rooster.
shod." Well, he's saying, "Go
now-
put shoes on him like he's a horse. Go have him shoed, but shod." So he's gonna he's like, "Put shoes on my rooster, and I'll hop on that motherfucker and ride away, or you'll never see me again because you hate me so much." Basically, yeah.
What?
Wha-
But he got him
why
the
did he-
bagpipes he wanted.
I don't know, but he's like, now that I got my bagpipes, I can leave happily, and you'll be happy.
How-
'cause I'm
so
This
this-
motherfucker had a
he's at
plan
least
this whole
8.
time.
He's at least 8.
He's built up this whole time this plan, but has never thought like, hey, I should change my fucking name.
Yeah.
So he wants to ride his rooster
Or
into
like
the sunset.
I should kill my whole family.
Yeah.
Or move
Yeah.
out from behind this oven and maybe just be like, hey, I'm gonna hang out here. Is that okay?
No, he just wants to ride his rooster into the forest. So
He gets a pair. He gets
so there's a rooster.
bagpipes.
They have pigs and animals on this farm.
And he's like,
so,
okay,
yeah.
father, get a farrier to shoe my chicken. And your dad's going to be like, you're an idiot. Get the fuck back behind the stove. Like, what the...
Shut
Well,
your stupid ass up.
apparently he made a good case because the father was happy to get rid of him, so he had the rooster shot, and when it was done, Hans my hedgehog climbed on it and rode away. He took pigs and donkeys with him to tend in the forest, so like he actually took some spoils of war with him too.
Having conquered his father.
Because all he did was like, hey, Dad, go get this shit done.
And I'll
I'm
leave.
out of here.
Yeah. In the forest, the rooster flew into a tall tree with him. There he sat and watched over the donkeys and the pigs. He sat there for years until finally the herd had grown large. So this guy's very patient, apparently. He spends 8 years behind the oven, and then he gets out and just sits in a tree for another several years. But he does get a large flock eventually. His father knew nothing about him. While sitting in the tree, he played his bagpipes and made beautiful music. One day, a king came by. He was lost and heard the music. He was amazed to hear it and sent a servant to look around to see where it was coming from. He looked here and there, but only saw a little animal sitting high in a tree. It looked like a rooster up there with a hedgehog sitting on it making the music.
I'll be goddamn.
What the fuck?
Why do you?
Said the servant.
What a bitch that he sent the server to do it too.
Right. Well, and then it seems like the narrator's basically trying to say when the servant saw this, he thought, no. Because like, I think I see a hedgehog on a rooster playing the bagpipes. Like, but if I tell my master that, he's going to have me murdered.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, I'm not
like,
tripping,
crazy
right?
son of a bitch.
Like-
Yeah, it's like, did he give me LSD again? So yeah, but it literally says it looked like there was a rooster up there with a hedgehog sitting on it making the music. So the king said to the servant that he should ask him why he was sitting there and if he knew his way back to the kingdom, because the king is lost. So then
Really walks back.
So then Hans my hedgehog climbed down from the tree and told him that if he would show him the way, if the king would promise in writing to give him, and that will actually lead us to our second fairy tale trivia. Yeah. So let me, if you guys want to get ready to go ahead and light up again. Good to go up there. So the king comes along, and Hans the Hedgehog seems like he does, in fact, know the way back to the kingdom. So he's like, look, I'll help you out, but before I tell you the way back, you got to promise to give me whatever I ask for. So, Jimmy, I'll ask you first. What did Hans ask for to receive once he led the king home? So once he gets him back home safely, he's like, you got to give me this. Was it A, all the king's gold? And just to remind everybody, it's 0 across the board so far. So A, all the king's gold. B, the king's firstborn child. C, the king's royal robe. Or D, whatever it was that Hans saw.
All right. Now, I instinctively think that B's the stupidest one.
The king's firstborn?
Right.
Okay.
Because he's all...
What's a hedgehog going to do with a baby?
Well,
Well-
I mean, what was he going to do with a rooster and bagpipes? And that seemed to work out.
Well, I mean, he's all of, like, 15 years old, something like that.
I mean, he's at least probably, he was 8 years behind the stove, a few more years in the tree, so he's an early teenager.
Guys, I don't think we should be thinking with logic.
Well, I mean, you don't have
as
to.
far as his age, he's half.
It's a half hedgehog boy that rides
matter if
a
he's
shoed
47
rooster and
or
plays the
60.
bagpipes.
As far as we know, he hasn't eaten this whole time.
Yeah, no, also that. So, yeah, what do you think it is?
I'm going to say D.
Whatever-
Whatever Hans saw.
First thing he saw. Okay.
Because that's the kind of weird-ass fairy tale shit that always happens in these.
Okay. So, Denzale, we'll go to you next. What do you think Hans asked for? What do you think his price was for getting the king home safely? All the king's gold, A. B, the king's firstborn child. C, the king's royal robe. Or D, whatever the first thing Hans saw.
I'm with Jimmy on this one. It's whatever first thing he saw, but just simply because like it's kind of makes sense, but it's still kind of stupid.
Okay.
Like, you should just ask for gold.
Stupid
or
logic.
something normal, like, but like, and the baby thing seems dumb, but like that's like I said, it's still kind of impractical. It's
Gotcha.
whatever I see, and it's gonna be something magical or dumb. Like so he's gonna luck into something else stupid.
Okay. So you think it's also first thing he sees when he gets him back to the kingdom? And we'll go to you last, our guest, Adam Degi. What was the price for Hans getting the king home safely? Was it A, all the king's gold, B, the king's firstborn child, C, the king's royal robe, or D, first thing Hans saw when he got back to the kingdom?
He's not very smart, and he just wants things that aren't going to help him get out of a situation. So I'm going to say the royal robe, and I'm just picturing Ric Flair. And,
Oh, there's just a going, woo!
yeah.
They had like the coils poking through the back. Like,
I mean, I'll admit, if I saw a half hedgehog with human legs strolling with a robe,
the strut.
doing the strut,
Spike sticking
right,
out.
right, the
that would
rooster.
be, yeah. I'd be taken aback. Yeah. All right. Well, I'll tell you what. We will get back to the story here, and we will find out what the answer is. Now, again, we came into this. Everybody had a 0 so far. Jimmy and Denzale have both said D, and Adam has said C. So again, potential for the score to change. So to answer fairy tale trivia number 2, Hans pretty much says, I know the way back, but you got to give me the price that I've asked for. So he said he would show him the way if the king would promise in writing to give him the first thing that greeted him and he saw at the royal court upon his arrival home.
I want
Stupid
that.
fairy
I
tale
want
shit.
that.
Yeah, you want? Yeah. Congratulations, guys. So yeah, basically, once he gets him back home, first thing that they see and that greets the king upon arrival is what's going to be the prize for Hans.
What a moron.
Yeah. Well, but he did ask for it in writing. That's key.
Yeah,
He did say that. He's like, I want this in
shit
writing. Yeah.
No,
yeah.
you know, I do think he's got a stupid genius plan.
Maybe.
And I feel like in the end, it's gonna be like some Ocean's 11 shit.
Yeah, I mean,
No.
just the fact that he asked for it in writing is a more specific detail than any hero in a story
Yeah.
we've talked about so far has ever done. Is that the fourth author?
This
did.
idiot's going to get the king's door or something. Like, well, we're here.
Yep.
Here you go.
Here's your knocker.
Ass.
Here's your knob. All right, so the king thought, well, I can do that easily enough. Hans my hedgehog cannot understand writing, so I can put down whatever I want to. So apparently, while he knows that it's important to have this type of agreement in writing, he's
Of
an
course
illiterate.
he can't read.
Yeah, he can't read, so it really doesn't matter anyway.
Hedgehog brain.
Yeah, and the king
I'm
knows
starting
this,
to think
so-
it's actually shocking he didn't ask for a banjo the first time.
right?
I want it in writing.
Yeah. You got a pretty half mouth. All right.
Who are you? I'm Hans my hedgehog.
Hans my hedgehog. So the king took. So the king then took the pen and ink and wrote something, and after he had done so, Hans my hedgehog showed him the way, and he arrived safely at home. His daughter saw him coming from afar and was so overjoyed that she ran to meet him and kissed him. He thought about Hans. Excuse me. He thought about Hans my hedgehog and told her what had happened. That he was supposed to have promised the first thing that greeted him to a strange animal that rode a rooster and made beautiful music. He's explaining this to the daughter being the first thing that greeted him. But instead, he had written that this would not happen, for Hans my hedgehog could not read. The princess was happy about this and said that it was a good thing, for she would not have gone with him in any event anyway. So, like, these are just two duplicitous motherfuckers. They're like, well, the good news is he asked for it in writing, but I didn't actually put that in writing. And the daughter's like, fuck, I don't care if it was in writing or not. I ain't going with that half hedgehog motherfucker.
So the servant, like, that initially found him, walked up to the king. He's like, okay, we're lost, and there's, like, this wood-wise half hedgehog over here, and he's illiterate.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Let's take advantage of
he
him.
immediately introduced himself. He's like,
Hans my hedgehog.
my
yeah.
name is Hans my hedgehog.
Yeah. So Hans my hedgehog
And
tended.
I'm illiterate.
Yeah. So
Will you teach me to read?
so they basically get
And
there.
I said, no.
So they get to the kingdom, and basically the king, is like, hey, your contract means shit. So Hans my hedgehog leaves, takes his whole flock or whatever, goes back to his tree. So Hans my hedgehog tended the donkeys and pigs, was of good cheer, and sat in the tree blowing on his bagpipe. So he's just like, all right, well, what are you going to do? I got screwed. It happens. Yeah. As comedians, I think we can relate to that. Like, eventually, like, no matter what contract you have, there's going to be somebody be like, well, fuck you. I'm just not going to pay you. There's nothing you can do about it. You just go home. You know what I mean? Yeah. So now it happened that another king came this way by the tree where he was at with his servants and messengers. He too got lost and did not know the way back home because the forest was so large. He too heard the beautiful
bagpipe. It doesn't even. You can't even say the words.
That actually sounded like there was a short circuit somewhere between my brain and my lips.
Rewound your ass.
DJ, Hans my hedgehog.
Hans.
There's a hedgehog up there mixing it up.
So the second king gets lost in the woods because
How
it's
many
so
kings
large.
is there in this?
At least two, apparently, yeah. And neither one of them has good GPS. So he too heard the beautiful music from afar and asked one of his messengers to go and see where it was and what it was coming from. The messenger ran to the tree where he saw Hans my hedgehog astride the cock rooster. I mean, that's what I want to name my car, the cock rooster.
The messenger said, "Where did he get those shoes?"
So the messenger asked him what he was doing up there. "I am tending my donkeys and pigs. What is it that you want?" replied Hans my hedgehog. The messenger said that they were lost and could not find their way back to their kingdom, and asked if he could show him the way. Then Hans my hedgehog climbed down from the tree with his rooster and told the old king that he would show him the way if he would give him the thing that he first met at home before the royal castle. So same deal again. The king said yes and signed a promise to Hans my hedgehog. So he, got it in writing again, even though he knew damn well that he didn't know what they were writing. But he still was determined to get that in writing.
What is the point?
I don't know, but he's a man of principle, I guess. So when that was done, Hans my hedgehog rode ahead on his rooster, showing them the way, and the king safely reached his kingdom. When the king arrived at his court, there was great joy. Now he had an only daughter who was very beautiful. Now, see, I noticed at this point when I was reading the story, they didn't say anything about how the first daughter looked, just that she was a princess, right?
She was kind of a hedgehog.
Yeah.
She was-
So, but this one, they go right out there. He's like, well, this daughter, now she was very beautiful. So she ran out to him, the king, threw her arms around his neck and kissed him and was ever so happy that her old father had returned. She asked him where he had been during his long absence, and he told her how he had lost his way and almost not made it home again, but that as he was making his way through a great forest, he had come upon a half-hedgehog, half-human, astride a rooster, sitting in a tall tree and making beautiful music, who had shown him the way, but whom he had promised whatever first met him at the royal court, and he was sorry it was she herself, and he was terribly sorry. you gotta imagine the daughter's like, all right, yeah, sure you did, Dad. Did you eat some mushrooms along the way?
No, baby, I'm sorry, but you're gonna have to
Seriously,
be.
you gotta.
You got to be into this whole furry thing now.
He's half a furry, yeah.
Yeah.
So, but again, the king's like, hey, I'm terribly sorry, but I did give this guy my word and whatever. So this king seems to at least be a little more honest. And apparently, so is the daughter.
What can
because
I do? This hedgehog, he said he can read.
Yeah, right. So apparently the daughter also has, good moral fiber. So she promised that she would go with him when he came back for the love of her old father. So apparently the hedgehog didn't come back right away. Like he showed him the way and then went back to go grab all his stuff because he's like, I'm going to get, whatever I want.
I feel like a lot of deals back in the day involved guys' daughters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of fairy tales. It's like, well,
And-
what have you
and the
got in
dudes are just
trade?
like,
It's
yeah, take
well,
her.
Take her.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, like
is-
best I can do is my daughter.
Yeah, that's why they always wanted to have sons because,
want-
if
For
you
sure.
had sons, you were the ones taking the daughter.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, exactly.
My
If
wife
you had a
keeps
daughter,
making these, and I don't know
I
how.
don't know what to do with them.
Yeah, they become assets, which is fucked up. That's terrible.
All right, so Hans my hedgehog went back, tended to his pigs, and the pigs had more pigs, until there were so many that the whole forest was full of pigs. Then Hans my hedgehog let his father know that they should empty out all of the stalls in his village because he was coming with such a large herd of pigs that everyone who wanted to would be able to take part in the slaughter. So again, the father has no idea that any of this has been going on.
Hey,
So yeah.
who wants to? Everyone, come take part.
Yeah, come have us
In the
pig-
slaughter.
in the slaughtering of the
Yeah.
pigs. There's more. There's one for everyone. You could kill your own pig.
Bring the
Then eat it.
kids.
Sunday. So again, his father's just not finding out. He knew nothing was going on with his, son that he hated anyway. So it saddened the father to hear this, for he thought that Hans my hedgehog had long since died. But Hans my hedgehog mounted his cock rooster, drove the pigs ahead of himself into the village, and had them butchered.
Just walked into the fucking village with his cock out.
He literally did.
Fucking thugged out.
All right, that's it. There you go. All right.
That's it. I feel like at this point he's like 20 years old.
Yeah.
How is he still riding a rooster?
I mean,
Hey,
he's
I guess
still
the rooster
only
just
like,
got big as fuck.
yeah. He fed him a pig or something.
He's giving the rooster a bunch of HGH every day.
So he
Jack.
drives all these pigs in and butchers them. And what a slaughter it was. What a commotion. They could hear the noise 2 hours away.
There was blood everywhere.
You could hear these pigs from 2 hours
Jeez.
away.
Why?
And again, back then, like travel by horse 2 hours is a lot of, that's
I
a
can't
long-
do a squeal.
That's all right. I don't have a squeal on demand either.
Come on, dude.
I know.
Come on.
I'm an amateur.
Pull up your search history.
So afterward, he gets everybody there, or gets all the pigs there to the slaughter. Afterwards, Hans my Hedgehog said, "Father, have my cock rooster shod a second time at the blacksmith's."
Here's some new shoes, bitch.
Yeah, pretty much. He's like, fucking.
I'm gonna
I
go
said, shine my
I'm gonna go to
fucking
Ace
shoes.
Hardware tomorrow and demand that they have my cock rooster shed.
Well, he kind of reminds me.
Cock-a-doodle do it, bitch.
I need somebody in here needs to fucking cock rooster shot my cock.
It sounds like that scene from Goodfellas. It's like, go get your fucking shine box.
I said shod my cock rooster.
I'm sorry, sir. What?
What? So yeah.
I have no idea what that means.
Wasn't Ron Jeremy's nickname the Hedgehog?
It was.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Oh my
All
God,
right,
can you
yeah.
imagine him just fucking ready to blow his?
I want
my cock rooster.
I want a CGI reimagining of a half hedgehog Ron Jeremy so that we can make Hans my Hedgehog the porno.
Nobody wants that. Nobody.
One buddy does. All right. So
That's just you, buddy.
Just me.
Don't call yourself a buddy when you say shit like that.
I've said worse. So he's like, go get my cock rooster shot a second time, and I'll ride away again, and I'll never come back so long as I live. You'll be rid of me for good, since you're still
Until
a
all
dick.
these donkeys grow up and we can kill them too.
So the father had
What's wrong with your village?
the father had the cock rooster shot and was happy that Hans my Hedgehog was not coming back. Now Hans my Hedgehog rode into the first kingdom, the one that he was originally. So apparently he left and didn't come back to the first kingdom to get his prize yet either. Even though the king there and his daughter were like, well, we ain't paying this motherfucker.
Ugly bitches.
Apparently he doesn't know that yet. So he goes back with all of his stuff, ready to move into the first kingdom, as he was promised. And the king had ordered, unknown to him, the king had ordered that if anyone should approach who was carrying bagpipes, riding on a rooster, that he should be shot at and struck down
I
and
love that
stabbed.
there's no mention of the fact that he's a fucking half hedgehog, half boy.
So basically any half
That's the
hedgehog,
first.
half man.
Even if you're riding a rooster with a bagpipe, people are still gonna bring up the fact that you're fucking half hedgehog.
right?
That should be the number one.
Yeah.
like what does he look like?
What
Well,
if he's
half
riding a
hedgehog.
rooster? Oh, definitely shoot that motherfucker.
You know what? I can't remember, but I do recall he was on a rooster.
Hey, he had
He fit the
bagpipes.
profile, he was riding a rooster, he had bagpipes. What do you want me to do? He's not even carrying
He
any.
definitely had human legs.
This rooster doesn't have any shoes on it, Jerry. All right. So yeah, they say if they see anybody that's riding a rooster with bagpipes, shoot it on sight, strike it down, stab it, do anything to prevent them from entering the castle. So thus, when Hans my Hedgehog rode up, they attacked him with bayonets, and that will actually lead us to our third fairy tale trivia. All right, so this is actually our final fairy tale trivia question. So for the third fairy tale trivia question, you guys can see it on the screen now. I'll explain it for our guests listening and watching at home. So Hans my Hedgehog has approached the first kingdom wanting what he was promised, which we already know the king and the daughter are planning on just telling him to go pound sand. So he's warned the guards to kill him on sight. So Hans gets there. The guards are ready for him. So how does Hans get past the guards? Because spoiler alert, he does not die at this point in the story. He gets past the guards. So how does he do that?
Die?
No, he's not dying here. Well, maybe later, but he doesn't die here. So how does Hans get past the king's guards? So we'll go ahead and we'll start with we'll start with you again, Adam, since you don't have any points. We'll let you go first this time, and then we'll go to Denzale and then to Jimmy. So how does Hans get past the guards that are trying to kill him at the first castle? Does he A, fly over on the rooster, fly over them on his rooster? B, shoot his quills at them? C, hypnotize them with the bagpipe music? Or D, does he just run away and flee to the second kingdom?
If the rooster could fly, why does it keep getting the fucking thing shot or whatever? Just have it fly. I'm gonna say I can see him hypnotizing him with the bagpipe music.
Doing a little Pied Piper and
Yeah.
doing the bagpipe music. Okay, so you think it's C, hypnotizing with the bagpipe music. All right, so we'll go next to Denzale, as I see you're smoking there, ready to go. All right, so again, what do you think the answer is for our third and final fairy tale trivia question? Denzale, how did Hans get past the King's guards? Did he A, fly over them with his rooster, B, shoot his quills at them, C, hypnotize him with bagpipe music, or D, just flee and run away to the Second Kingdom?
Adam said hypnotize. I just got to go something different, even though I feel like that's probably a good answer. I'm going to go D, he ran away to the Second Kingdom.
Okay,
Just
so again,
'cause,
the
like,
point
you
you
know,
made,
like
you've already
it-
got a lead, so you're trying to answer something different.
Yeah.
All right, so you think he was like, oh, screw it, I'll try the
Yeah.
Second Kingdom, maybe I'll just have more luck there? No,
Yeah.
because, I mean, he seems to have been pretty understanding so far, so that might be it. Good call.
I was
And then lastly, we'll go to Jimmy again.
I was
Final
thinking-
fairy tale trivia question. How did Hans get past the King's guards? Did he fly over him on his rooster, shoot his quills at them? Was he C, hypnotized with bagpipe music, or D, run away to the Second Kingdom?
I think he shot his quills at him.
Think he fired those quills off at him, used them as a weapon? All right.
Busting off.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
This becomes an action
Yeah.
novel in the middle of it.
Yeah.
All right, well, I'm
Absolutely.
no biologist, but I think that's how hedgehogs work.
Yep. Hedgehogs are famously ballistic.
It means they shoot things. All right. I like the way you said that. Famously ballistic. All right, so we will now find
Just like
out.
leprechauns are magically delicious.
There you go. They're famously ballistic.
ballistic.
That's a good one.
Heat.
All right. So we're going to find out. Final fairy tale trivia question could have implications because I think we got 3 different answers there.
Yeah.
Indeed,
In fact,
we
so-
have.
Yeah, we did.
All right. So what happened?
Last
How did you
time
get past
we did this,
the?
we all got it wrong.
So again, just to remind everyone, Adam said he thinks that he was hypnotized with the bagpipes. Denzale said that he thinks that he fled for the
He just
kingdom,
ran away,
and Jimmy thinks that he shot his quills at him.
When we fled, not fleed.
Well, fled
Fleed.
his way. Yeah,
yes.
fleed his way across the countryside. So Hans the Hedgehog rode up. They rode up. And they attacked him with.
He shot his quills from his cock.
No. They attacked
It was
him
a
with.
cock by quilling.
Drive by. All right. They attacked him with bayonets, but he spurred his rooster on, flew over the gate, and up to the king's window. So no one got the answer
flew
correct.
over.
He flew over.
damn
So
it.
yes, to your point, Adam, I have
Why
no
weren't you
idea.
just flying the whole time?
Yeah.
What a
No
fucking
fucking
moron.
idea. That's what I thought too when I read. I'm like,
He flew
wait,
up in the tree. I
why are
almost
you
went that
bothering
way.
putting shoes on this stupid thing? You know what I mean? So all right, but I guess technically you got to change the tires on a plane every now and then too. So whatever. So yeah, nobody got that one right. So we ended up with a tie. Jimmy and Denzale each had 1 point. Unfortunately, our guest had 0 points. So I'm just gonna end it in a tie. We're just gonna end it that way because the points mean nothing. And yeah, congratulations,
Yeah,
guys.
that's fair.
Hey,
Do you think if you are like a mechanic on a plane that's how they, that's how nonchalant they are about changing the tires?
But changing the tires
Every once in a while.
Every once in a while, yeah.
Sometimes.
How often we got to do that? When it looks like
That's
it.
up to you.
Yeah, so you kick them. I mean, I have no reason to dispute that's not how they do it. All right, so he flew over and he went straight up to the king's window, basically demanding what he was owed. So landing there, he shouted to him to give him what he had promised, or it would cost him and his daughter their lives. So then the king told the princess to go out to him in order to save his life and her own as well. So she put on a white dress, and her father gave her a carriage with 6 horses, magnificent servants, money, and property. So at least, he sent her off with some stuff. They were going to be well taken care of.
She's holding the property as
Yeah.
she leaves.
Yes. So she climbed aboard, the rooster, I guess. She climbed aboard, and Hans my Hedgehog.
Carriage. He gave her a carriage.
Oh, carriage, that's right, yeah.
You're reading this.
Turns
He
out.
just wants to believe that she wrote his.
She wrote
Like the
cock rooster.
yeah.
She hopped on that cock rooster.
You got protection on that cock rooster?
Yeah, it
He's
was-
wearing shoes.
It was freshly shot. That's what that
I'm going
means.
to show you what a facial shot is.
Oh, the old cock shot. All right. So she climbed aboard the carriage, and Hans my Hedgehog took his place beside her in the carriage with his rooster and bagpipes. So I guess the rooster got to ride with him.
Right on.
Yeah.
So he deserves it.
Yeah.
Been the hero this whole time.
They said farewell and drove off. The king thought that he would never see them again. However, it did not go as he thought it would. For when they had traveled a short distance from the city, Hans my Hedgehog pulled off her beautiful clothes and stuck her with his quills until she was bloody all over.
What?
Strips her naked and then fires his quills off.
He straight up murked her in the carriage?
Well, she's not dead. She's just bleeding all over the place.
Whoa.
This is the reward for your deceit. Go away. I do not want you. So, yeah,
Damn.
just kicks her ass out, leaves her bloody on the side of the road.
That is not the direction I thought that was going.
No, and neither was the king, as they said, as the narrator said. So with that, he sent her back home, and she was cursed as long as she lived. So, yeah. So Hans my Hedgehog, who's not done with his fucking ride of slaughter. Yeah. Hans my Hedgehog, he better have his money, astride his cock rooster and carrying his bagpipes, rode on to the second kingdom, where he had also held his battle rooster. So he rode to the second kingdom, where he had also helped the king find his way. Now this one,
I'll teach you for getting lost.
These aren't the same guys who wrote Snow White.
No, I believe Snow White was
Perot? No.
Do these guys have other
maybe
work?
Anderson. Oh yeah, hundreds. They like
I
in their
feel like if it's like as far as their whole catalog, like this is their the happening for
Right.
M. Night Shyamalan.
yeah, right. All right.
They can't all be winners.
No. Well, I mean, again, it's we're about to close in on an interesting turn. So
Oh, now it gets
now it takes a weird turn. Yeah. So he gets to the second kingdom, and this king
Hey, princess, how do you feel about bestiality?
that's only half bestiality. It's like quarter bestiality. Well, the bottom half is human, so I mean, yeah. So he goes to the second.
I don't
king-
like how easily you talked yourself into that. Like you still can't have your dog suck your dick if you make him wear pants.
Well, that does me a lot of good now. Jeez.
Throw these Levi's on.
Where were you in my probation hearing? Your Honor, it had a button fly. All right, so yeah, this king, the second one, in contrast, had ordered that if anyone looking like Hans my Hedgehog should arrive, so whereas, remember, the first king was like, you see this guy, kill him on sight, the second king says that if anyone looking like Hans my Hedgehog should arrive, he should be saluted and brought to the royal castle with honors and with a military escort. So when the princess saw him, she was horrified because he looked so strange, but she thought that nothing could be done about it because she had promised her father to go with him. She welcomed Hans my Hedgehog, and they were married. Then he was taken to the royal table, and she sat next to him while they ate and drank. That evening, when it was time to go to bed, she was afraid of his quills, but he told her to have no fear, for he would not hurt her. Didn't tell her about his first wife. Don't worry, you're not at risk at all. Nobody ever gets hurt.
But nudity spooks me. So watch out.
But don't you ever turn on me.
Whenever
bitch.
if you take your clothes off, do it slowly. So he told the old king to have 4 men keep watch by their bedroom door, their honeymoon, suite. He said these men should make a large fire outside the bedroom door. He said that he would take off his hedgehog skin after going into the bedroom and before getting into bed.
He could just take it off this whole time?
Evidently.
Right.
But the men should immediately, so he's going to take it off. He's going to go to the room, take it off, but before he gets into bed, he's going to basically toss the skin back out the room. So the guy says, I'm going to take my skin off, but as soon as I do that, I'm going to throw it outside the bedroom, and these men that are staged outside with the fire should immediately pick up my skin, throw it into the fire, and then stay there until it's completely consumed by
How is
the
that
fire.
better than just looking like a hedgehog?
I mean,
If the
well,
girl's
apparently,
creeped out and doesn't want to fuck you, like, don't worry, I'll take my skin off.
and he's telling him, you put this thing directly into the fire, and you do not walk away until
And
it's
this
fucking
just
burned
goes
up.
to show you how fucked up arranged marriages are.
Right? So, again, that's the part of the story
Where you
that's
just
fucked up for the
you're like,
arrangement.
oh, I guess I
gotta
have to
marry
be
this
attracted
guy,
to
yeah.
this person.
So, when the clock struck 11, He went into the bedroom, took off the hedgehog skin, and laid it down by the bed. I don't know why 11, but yeah. The men rushed in, grabbed the hedgehog skin, and threw it into the fire. And as soon as the fire consumed it, he was redeemed, and he lay there in bed entirely in the shape of a human now. So apparently he was under some sort of curse.
Why did you take it off when you're behind the stove?
The whole time.
8 years.
Yeah,
You didn't
it's
8 years.
The fire's right there. Fire's right there, guy.
Talk about commitment to a bit.
Yeah, right. Don't worry, it's going to get
This
a
whole
little...
time.
It's going to get slightly more problematic. So, yeah, so as soon as it was consumed in the fire, he was redeemed, and he lay there in bed. Now he's entirely in the shape of a human. But his human form was black as coal, as though he had been charred. The king sent for his physician, who washed him with good salves and balms. Then he became white and was a handsome young gentleman.
Wow. Okay. I feel like, there's some very racist
That was...
undertones to this part.
This is.
I mean, 1812 Germany.
They were like, you know what? We didn't really drive it home with the whole he's a hedgehog and an outcast thing. No, we really need to let you know
he's human
we're
now,
talking
but he's not a
about
white
racism.
human.
We're being racist.
It's like,
Go get the doctor.
this is essentially
Like if you
man
didn't
in
realize
Germany
this
back then
earlier.
were like, I'd rather have my kid born half hedgehog than half black. That's what everyone else.
They're like, hey,
Go
by
get a
the
doctor.
way,
See what we can do. But like when the hedgehog kid was, they didn't call for a doctor. They called for someone to baptize him. But yeah, as soon as they see that, like, oh, that looks like a black guy. Get a doctor.
The nurse screams, ah! Oh my God, he's not black, is he? No, just half hedgehog.
maybe if they had
thank God.
fucking called for a doctor instead of getting him baptized, they probably could have cut off the suit from the fucking get go, and then figure out why this woman's vagina is producing fucking hedgehog suits. It's like an accessory
You
with
want
the
to look
baby.
into, maybe. All right, so
Like-
so he's a handsome young gentleman. So the princess saw what had happened, and she was overjoyed. And they got up and ate and drank. Now their wedding was celebrated for real, and Hans my hedgehog inherited the old king's kingdom, and his kingdom too, I suppose. Some years later, he traveled with his wife, the new prince, I guess, to his old father and said that he was his son. But the father said he did not have a son. He had one, but he had been born with quills like a hedgehog and had gone off into the wild. Then he said that he was in fact his son, and the old father rejoiced and returned with him to the kingdom, and they all lived happily ever after.
What
The
the
end.
fuck?
Yeah, that is the story of Hans my Hedgehog by Jacob and Wilhelm Grimm in 1812, German tale. So yeah, I would think it's safe
Again,
to say.
not to bring up M. Night for a third time.
All right.
But sometimes you watch a whole movie and you're like, I hate this, but as long as it ends well.
Yeah.
And then it doesn't.
No, it did not at all. There was not the payoff you were hoping for. I mean, admittedly, it didn't end the way you expect, but no, not the payoff you were hoping for. So, all right. So, I would say, I mean, normally we ask at the beginning of a tale. We kind of polled everybody, and if you had ever heard this tale growing up, and again, now we're getting into the lesser known tales. So I think it's fair to say none of us heard. Hans
If you
my
did
Hedgehog.
hear this as a child, you fucking grew up behind a stove.
Yeah, right. I mean, I did not. It's rare that I haven't had any association. I've never heard anything about it. I knew nothing about this going into it. I'm assuming that's the case for everyone. So now that we've heard it, we know, again, this was made in 1812 Germany. And
Mommy, can you read me Clifford the Big Red Dog?
Yeah,
nope,
right.
little motherfucker. We're going to read Hans my Hedgehog.
Yeah.
No,
yeah.
in their defense, this probably sounds much more beautiful in German.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it might. So at any rate, we'll go around. We'll start with you real quick, Adam. So we know this was written in 1812. It was meant for kids in Germany at that time. We've now heard it.
How?
I don't know. Well, so what do you think the lesson that they were trying to teach German kids in the society at that time? What do you think they were trying to get you to learn from this?
Clearly, I think it's just don't be black. I think that's what it was, wasn't it?
I mean, maybe. I
No.
guess it's up to you. You can determine whatever you think the moral of the story was.
I don't know. It was just all over the place. I learned to play an instrument because
All right. Yeah, I guess.
if you learn to play an instrument, no matter how you look, you'll get some pussy.
Maybe, yeah, that's fair. That's fair, I guess. All right, so Denzale, what do you think? What do you think the moral of the story was?
This fucking dog shit story. Moral of the story was, be patient and utilize the skill. Even though, like, he had a plan. It was a stupid ass plan.
Yeah.
But also, the side moral of the story is apparently be vengeful.
Vengeful. Yeah, because he did get his.
But
He got his vengeance.
Okay, but here's a beef that I have. Motherfucker went back to the dad who fucking scarred him. It was like, oh, let's go live happily ever after.
Yeah.
That he should have got the needles too.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, should have bled that guy out.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and
karma
also something racism.
Yeah,
Like
that was
and that's the fucking
Also heavy racism.
terrible fucking
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So, Jimmy, and I'm going to contribute on this one as well. What do you think the moral of the story of the lesson that was trying to be taught here at this point was?
I think it's a misguided lesson. I think the lesson they're trying to say is wrong. I think the lesson should be if you don't love me at my mutant hedgehog child behind the stove, you don't deserve me at my murder a princess and
Inherit a kingdom.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
How did the dad never ask more questions? Like, did you have an affair with Hedgehog?
Well,
by
no,
any chance?
actually, it was his idea.
When
it was his idea. Remember, he literally said he got so frustrated at being
I'd rather have
mocked
a
for not
hedgehog.
having a kid. He's like, we're gonna have a kid, even if it's a fucking hedgehog child. Like that was he was the first one to bring it up, and then the wife. Remember, the wife said, "Oh, you brought this upon us by saying that." Now
That's
we have
such a
hedgehog
wife
baby.
thing to say.
You did this to me.
Yeah. All right. So, Jimmy, you think the lesson basically was
Wrong.
wrong? Yeah.
It was wrong.
Like, what was the lesson? It was just wrong. Yeah, you didn't really say there was a lesson.
The lesson is treat the people that wronged you and treated you like shit your entire life good.
Okay. Yeah, I get
That
that.
is
You
wrong.
Get that that is wrong. I guess you could see that maybe that's what they were trying to say because of what he did with the reconciliation with his father. Yeah, that makes sense. All right. Well, I'm going to, like I said, join in on this one, too.
I'd love to come join you, now completely normal son, but I
right.
have this half pig daughter.
So,
She's going to have her own adventure.
Right. So I think the moral of the story was kind of a little bit of what you said, Denzale, with the patience. Because it was weird the way how, like, the hedgehog knew the second time that he might get screwed again because he couldn't read, and he still went with the contract. He's like, well, if the guy is honorable, then will be glad I had a contract.
But if
You know
not,
what I mean? So,
it's time to do that work.
If not, though, I got these quills, son. Yeah.
I'm going to throw some quills in your daughter.
Yeah. He was ready to throw them quills. So, yeah, I think it was kind of like a bit of patience, but also, hey, you know what? Don't freak out right away. Do what you got to do if you have to eventually, but give them time. Give them a chance. Give people the chance to do the right thing before you freak out on them. A little bit of that.
Yeah,
so.
but like,
Which is a weird lesson for someone in Germany to teach. Like, I feel like that's not exactly culturally the way they live their lives. Like, hey, don't jump down their throats right away.
I think
Give
they
them a
were
chance.
just trying to traumatize a few generations before Germany tried something.
Yeah, I mean, that could be too. Yeah. It'd be like, oh, you think you have it bad? Just wait. So, all right. Well, again, that was the tale of Hans My Hedgehog from 1812 in the collection by Jacob and Wilhelm Grimm.
Is it a secret? Where are you finding this shit?
No, that's just they did a. I don't remember the exact.
Are you writing these when you get high, John?
Thank you guys so much for your input and your morals here. We're just going to wrap up real quickly. Again, the moral of the story.
Morals.
So, Adam Degi, again, we mentioned it earlier, but you've got a show coming up here, which we'll put the information on the screen. Dr. Grimm's in Grand Rapids, Michigan. That'll be Labor Day weekend, so we'll put all that on there. They can go to that website or your website to check that out. Anything else you want us to mention, or might have forgotten?
Just don't have kids.
All right, fair enough.
They
Well,
might
hey,
be half hedgehog.
Yeah, well, that might be the lesson too of the story. So again, thank you so much to our guest Adam Degi, the legendary West Michigan comedian. We thank you so much.
Half hedgehog from the waist down.
Right, and again. the first two-time guest on our show, the first repeat guest.
yeah.
So, yeah, thank you so much for coming back and doing this. And then thank you, again, as always, to my co-hosts, Jimmy Bain and Denzale Whitehead. Had a blast. This was a lot of fun. My name is Jonny Hauser. This has been Blunts Upon a
Shot
Time.
my cock rooster.
Y'all have a great night.
Once upon a time where we
Did you say shot my cock rooster?
act funny. Shot it.
Shot my cock rooster. That's great.
And try not to get drunk. Shot my